Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Secretary of Shade. I am DDM, your host. If this is your first time joining, don't forget to hit that bell at the top and subscribe. You can also follow me online at Dapper Damitis on social media. Welcome. So we have a lot to talk about. First, I do want to shout out CARE, our sponsor for the show, responsible for this beautiful set as well. Make sure you check them out. You can also still buy a mug for Secretary of Shade. I'll post the link in the bottom. It's also available on the top of the page. And support the channel. But this week, we have several things to cover. So we are going to be, of course, discussing the New Hampshire Primary. We're going to talk about Fani Willis and the scandal that has erupted in regards to her post. We're also going to talk about this measles outbreak, niece. Like, the measles? Like, girl, who gets the measles? Busy, but we got a lot to discuss. Once again, I want to welcome everybody. So we're going to go ahead and hop right on in. So last night was the New Hampshire primary for the Republican parties. Now, Nikki Haley lost, but once again, water is wet. Water is wet, okay? We knew that she was going to lose, okay? Everybody knew that she was going to lose. This is not an issue of, was she going to clinch this or not? How much she lost by, that was going to be the question, at least for me. Now, in case you've been under a rock, Ron DeSantis has dropped out since last week, okay? So Ron DeSantis is, after the Iowa caucus, Ron DeSantis has dropped out of the race. So Ron DeSantis is no longer a player, which honestly gagged me because Ron DeSantis came in second in the Iowa caucus. Trump, of course, was a very, very distant first. But Ron DeSantis came in second and Nikki Haley came in third. But Ron DeSantis decided to suspend his campaign. That's what they say now. Oh, I'm suspending my campaign. Bitch, you ran out of money. Stop playing games, okay? So Ron DeSantis is out of the picture. So that leaves Mother Haley and Captain Crunch. Now, according to the results, let's get into the results because I love a number. Donald Trump won 54.3% of the vote. Nikki Haley got 53.3% of the vote, with Donald Trump receiving 174,948 votes and Nikki Haley receiving 139,469 votes. Now, he beat her by 11 percentage points. Okay, in election world, that's not, a small number. I'm gagging though because I was watching the news. They report the results. People, go and do their whole thing during the day, and they literally multiple news outlets called Donald Trump as the winner of this New Hampshire primary. 15 minutes after the polls closed. It wasn't even oh, bitch, we waiting for, 60% of the vote. It was 14% of the vote in, and it was Donald Trump is projected to win the New Hampshire. The news was bitch, stop playing in my face. Stop playing in my face, okay? So the news called the election. Now, the gagger is Nikki Haley. She does this whole press conference, of course, and she's like, New Hampshire may be the first state, but it's not the last state. Bitch, you was in third in the last one. You're in a distant second in this one. Hang it the fuck up, okay? That time, see, here's the thing. Hear me out. There's a saying that I grew up with called Spare the Rod, Spoil the Child. The Republican Party, and when I say the Republican Party, meaning the people who hold offices in the Republican Party, not the voters. The Republican Party has coddled, condoned, whatever you want to call it. They have literally went along with anything that Donald Trump has said. And, some people say, well, yeah, when when January 6th happened, we were pissed. Yeah, y'all were pissed for a minute, but y'all didn't do shit. And now we have a repeat of 2016. Okay, this is giving 2016 teas. Okay, now Nikki Haley is refusing to quit, and she's holding out. But how you going to still run a campaign with no money, niece? Because some of her top donors and other donors who were considering giving her money, pending how this situation panned out in New Hampshire, they're like, sis, I ain't gonna keep throwing money into the trash compactor for your ass. But once again, this is what happens. This is what happens when you try to play both sides and straddle the fence. We are in a time, and this is what Donald Trump understands. We are in a time where people don't want fair. I hate to say this. People don't want an objective point of view. They don't want a person that plays devil's advocate or possibly sees the other side. We are in a very tribal, I say this all the time, very tribal football stadium era of politics. Shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. Ow. I'm going to the game on Sunday. But anyway, that's where we are. And Nikki Haley, she tried to say, well, Donald Trump is too old. If I'm not mistaken, didn't you kind of come for Don Lemon? Let's rewind this. Didn't you come for Don Lemon when he said that, women have to look a certain way or they are of a certain age? Basically, he called you old bitch. And you went on a whole campaign for that. And then next thing I know, Mother Dawn is on CNN in the morning, and then after that, Vivek comes and Mother Dawn is gone altogether. Okay? So I find it interesting. This is why, for me, it's hard to really connect with any politician right now. Because there's no one, I think, at least in the Republican piece, I think Chris Christie was probably the closest, because he was speaking a lot of common sense. And he was, to me, and this is just me here, to me the closest to being able to see both sides of the country and points of view. But because he was like that, they was like, we're not having this shit. Bye. Next. Okay? And that's just where we are. So, Namarada, when you try to, play both sides, people firmly, and I say this on both sides of the aisle, with both Democrats and Republicans, people want people that are definitive. Let me say that. They want people who are definitive. And when you are not definitive, she wasn't definitive on racism in America. She wasn't definitive on Social Security. She wasn't definitive on how she would govern. She wasn't definitive on her stance against Donald Trump. Nothing about Nikki Haley was definitive. And when you are not definitive, especially now, what that says to people is that you're indecisive. And when we call on you to make the tough decisions, as a president does, you can't be depended on. So now Mother Haley, she's still hanging in there as of the taping. It is 5:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As of this taping, she's still in, that I know of. But that can very well change when the money dries up. But that's essentially what happened. Ron DeSantis, dropping out. It was inevitable. The reality is we are getting a Donald Trump and Joe Biden rematch. And the only thing I can say to the Biden campaign, to Democrats, is y'all better figure it the fuck out. Because it's not looking good for you. And I know, people are like, oh, don't say that. You got to speak things into power. And I'm all about that. But I also believe in speaking reality, bitch. Okay? And the reality is, a lot of people in this country are not happy with the Biden presidency. And, there's a saying in politics that people vote with their pocketbooks. And it's so true. At the end of the day, nobody gives a fuck about race relations. Nobody gives a fuck about, how you made them, how you mispronounced this person's name, and those are things that I value. But I'm recognizing that in America right now, nobody gives a shit about that. People give a shit about how high groceries are, their taxes, and the goddamn border, and crime. Those are the three, four things that people care about. Food prices, cost of living, the border, crime, and taxes. If you ain't talking about none of that shit, right now, all of it is just identity politics. And nobody gives a damn. Okay? And that goes for not just, white voters, black voters, other voters of color, like they're on the Trump train. Do I think that he's a good choice? Absolutely not. He's under indictments, which we're going to get to. He's indicted. He's in court trials, court cases, you name it. His foreign policy, It's a lot of issues where I don't want Donald Trump in office again. And I think that the first version of Trump that we got will probably be the version that we look back and say, damn, maybe we should have just gave him another time to get him out the way. Because see, here's the thing, and just stay with me. He's learned. If you notice how he's running this campaign now, he still say shit out the side of his mouth, but it's very different now. It's more streamlined. It's not as erratic. Now, it could be because, he's not on major social media networks, but it's just different. And I am hoping that the Biden campaign, the Democratic Party at large, figure out where they need to go. Because at this point, and to their credit, they have recognized that Donald Trump is probably going to be the eventual nominee, or will be the nominee. It's really not even a question at this point. But I hope that they do figure it out. Tim Scott, clown. After, Trump wins the primary yesterday, he's standing behind Trump with them big ass gums and them big ass just teeth. Just looking 14 carats stupid. Then Donald Trump goes, you really had to hate her to endorse me because they're from the same state. And the whole shade is Nikki Haley appointed him to that Senate seat, niece. And he still ain't endorsed her ass. Ain't that some shit? And she's like, you must really hate her. And then he goes, I just love you more. Dummy. But that's where we at with that. Now, in other Trump news, Fani Willis. Child, this is a damn mess. Sound off in the comments, because this is a mess. Now, Fani Willis is the district attorney down in Georgia who basically is trying Trump for the election issues that happen in Georgia. We talk about them ad nauseum, but she's basically behind it. She is the same woman who is behind the infamous mug shots, all of that. I mean, she had them come down for mug shots and all. She didn't physically take the picture, but you know what the hell I'm talking about. So, you know, we was all Team Fani, and I'm still Team Fani. But we are in a time where if you want to come for the king, you best not miss. Rest in peace, Michael K. Williams. Fani then got herself in a world of trouble. Well, it's not trouble, but it just don't look good, okay? So, where can we start? So, Fani Willis was basically, a motion was filed, okay, that she basically is having an affair with one of the attorneys that she's appointed to this case. So the allegations were in a motion filed last week by Ashley Merchant, who represents Michael Roman, a former Trump campaign staffer and one-time White House aide. The filings allege that Willis was involved in an improper romantic relationship with Nathan Wade, the outside lawyer she hired, and questions Wade's qualifications for the job. Okay? Now, Willis, the judge overseeing this case, the motion, recently directed Willis to respond to the allegations in a court filing by February 2nd, with a hearing scheduled on the matter for February 15th. Okay? Now, the allegations are just that. There's no real proof right now, but earlier this month, when he filed for it, this is the Ashley Merchant who filed for it, he basically said in the motion in detail that that Willis and the lead prosecutor, Nathan Wade, had been having a romantic relationship. Willis hired Wade, a private sector lawyer who appears to have limited experience working on complex criminal matters, and he has reportedly been paid more than $600,000 for his work on the prosecution. The motion asserts that Wade and Willis have been taking vacations using the fees that Wade has been paid, and argues that Willis and Wade have been profiting significantly from his prosecution at the expense of the taxpayers. The motion also claims that the two may have committed federal crimes, citing a law known as the Honest Services Fraud Statute. Okay? The motion may have also violated an important ethical rule that requires lawyers to disclose controlling law that is at odds with any position that they are advocating in the case. In particular, Roman's filing claims that Willis and Wade may have violated the Honest Services and RICO statutes because they personally benefited from an undisclosed conflict of interest. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Now, I don't deal in rumors. You know, here on Secretary of Shade, we deal in facts. Okay. Here's the thing. Even if this isn't true, we're in a time, I need to call this meeting in a time. We're in a time, because that's the fucking thing. We're in a time where allegations are enough to get you to boot. And you just have to be careful. Rumor has it that Wade just divorced his wife or something busy like that, or whatever. Him and Fani was fooling around. None of that shit to me matters. Is it embarrassing? Yes. Is it illegal? That is the question. That is the question. It becomes a conflict of interest, possibly, as the article, and I'm reading from Politico, by the way, as the article states, because the amount that he's paid, $600,000 is a lot of money. Like, I know lawyers get paid, but I'm like, $600,000, niece? Now, I know it's a lot of work that they got to do, but they ain't did $600,000 worth of work yet. Okay? So, it's interesting to see that. Okay? The key problem here, and this is from Politico, for Willis is not the alleged relationship. It is that the relationship provides a plausible motive for much more serious allegations presented in the motion. That Willis selected an underqualified prosecutor for personal rather than professional reasons, and that she may have been motivated in part by her knowledge that the financial benefits that would flow to Wade from the Trump prosecution will also flow in part to her. For me, it's going to be hard to quantify, and this is just how I'm looking at it. You guys sound off in the comments. I could be, off base here. It's going to be hard to quantify what constitutes him as not being experienced enough, right? Because you don't get experience. You can't get experience without actually doing the damn job, Like, that's just what it is. So, it's going to be an issue, okay? The issue is of the look of it all. Also, too, Fani, how she handles this is going to be a big deal. Now, she went to a church, Martin Luther King, the day before Martin Luther King Jr. Day earlier this week. And, she addressed the allegations, but she didn't address the allegations, if that makes sense. Which could be smart on her part, right? But once again, we're in a time where the court of public opinion holds a lot of weight in the real court. Ain't no shade, it always has. I don't know how this will go moving forward. It's something that I'm putting on my watch list, but it's not a good look. And it's no surprise to me that this has happened. Also, too, another thing I take from this, you got to be careful who you keep in your circle, because this man would have never filed this motion without him getting a sniff of something going on. Maybe they were too friendly in public with each other, or he overheard something. Or it could be that you got a rat, Fani. Who did you piss off? Now, I know you pissed off the Republican Party, but outside of that, who in your camp did you piss off? You down in Georgia, niece. You're a black woman in a position of power. You got to be careful of your surroundings and who you got looking at you. I hope that this all blows over, because I think that Donald Trump should be held accountable for his actions. But it's something that we have to keep watching. Now, tell me what you think. Sound off in the comments. But we're going to go ahead and switch gears a little bit. Okay? Now, we got a measles outbreak, niece. And it's not just in the United States, it's in the UK as well. And I'm like, ew. Like, what is going on? Measles? Like, it's not 58. Like, who the fuck still gets measles anymore? Like, when? That's not even a thing. Like, this isn't the fucking Brady Bunch. I can't. But anyway, and this is according to Forbes magazine, there's an expanding measles outbreak in England and the US, okay? Last week, the UK Health Security Agency declared a national incident over a surge in measles cases across the country, okay? Yesterday, the British National Health Service began a major catch-up vaccination campaign to ensure adequate uptake of the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. There were 30 times more measles cases in Europe in the first 10 months of 2023 than there were the entire year before. Specifically, health officials recorded 30,000 cases of measles across Europe between January and October 2023, compared with only 941 cases in 2022, bitch. So it was only 941 cases in 2022, and now it's 30,000, okay? According to the National Health Service England, the MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination rate in Birmingham region was around 83%. It may have declined since then. That was in 2022. Okay? To optimally protect the population, a rate of at least 95% is critical. And to illustrate the gravity of the situation, according to the UK Security Health Agency, only around 50% of children have had their MMR series in parts of East London. Okay? In the US, as of January 12th, 2 counties in Washington state reported a total of 6 measles cases among unvaccinated adults. In Camden County, New Jersey, health officials confirmed a measles case on January 13, and in Philadelphia, they have 9 confirmed cases as of yesterday. Okay? Public health experts in the U.S. have begun to sound the alarm. Waning herd immunity is leading to outbreaks, says Peter Hotez, a researcher and professor of pediatrics. Okay? The reduced herd immunity is attributed to a gradual decline in immunization rates as increasing numbers of parents forego vaccinating their children, citing religious or philosophical reasons. In the 2022 to 2023 school year, non-medical vaccination exemptions for kindergartners increased in 41 states, according to the CDC. With childhood vaccine hesitancy or simply outright refusal on the rise in the UK, US, and Europe, the problem is likely to worsen. This is tricky. You have people now. I thought to go to school, you had to get the damn shots. Like, I thought that was a thing. Like, you can't go in the damn school building without the shots. Now, I was born in the 80s, so back then, my mother and them, they're like, all right, we're gonna go get your shots. It wasn't a thing. Like, nobody was like, ooh, I'm not getting my shots. It was like kind of like either your child gonna learn or they not. Now, we're in a time where people are opting out, and I get it. Like, here's the thing. I get people not wanting to get their children vaccinated because you don't know what's in the vaccines. The government isn't, being exactly the most trustworthy right now for a lot of folks. It's very unstable. We saw this with the COVID vaccine. It's a lot, right? So people don't want their kids to get vaccinated. And they do have that choice. It is America. Or it's supposed to be. But also, too, I was looking at this story. And, there's some people like, yeah, they're just saying this to get people to get shots again. And that could be very well true. But I remember monkeypox, niece. And when monkeypox hit, I'm going to tell you now, the gays was lined the fuck up to get that shot. When they saw them pictures of how that shit make you look, it was giving very much a tap that vein, niece. Tap that vein. Measles. I'm not saying that people should get their children vaccinated. Once again, that's your choice. But we gotta start using common sense too. I'm not trying to die from cholera or some shit like that. foot and mouth disease. You know, I ain't trying to die from some shit from the 1800s because you want to take a stand, bitch. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to get scarlet fever or some dumb ass shit because, you know, measles come back out. Next thing you know, it's going to be something else. Now, this could all be a ploy to get people to get vaccines. I don't think that. But all I can say to you all, make sure you're covering yourself up. I don't want nobody touching me. I don't want nobody breathing on me. I had a lady cough in my face the other day, and I almost slapped the shit out of her. I had to get myself together and remember who I was and where I was at. But it's a measles outbreak, so be on guard. So you got RSV, you got good old COVID, you got the flu, you got pneumonia flying around. Now you got the measles. We're just going to be all fucked up. It's giving the plagues from the Bible. No shade. Okay? But that's where we at. Now, to close out, you know, I always like to close out now with a positive story. We hear so much bad news, so much controversy, so much scandal. I always like to end with a positive story. We call this our Secretary Second. Now, in Philadelphia, a 4-year-old husky, Kobe, is hailed as a hero for discovering gas leak in Philadelphia. Okay? Now, 4-year-old Kobe the husky is being decorated with an award, a book, and nationwide attention after digging out a dangerous situation beneath his Philadelphia home. On the 15th of December, he dug a hole, and that's something that he never does, said pet parent Chanel Bell. I didn't really think too much of it, but on the 21st, he dug the same exact hole the same exact way. It was so bizarre. Bell used a gas detection device near the hole, and it began to beep. She quickly called Philadelphia Gas Works, which was able to repair the low-pressure service line. Bell decided to share her story on social media. Eventually, she was notified by PETA that Kobe would be the recipient of a Heroic Dog Award. Having dreamed of becoming an author one day, Bell quickly penned the short story, The Dog That Saved the Block Before Christmas, in order to memorialize the occasion and spread a message to others. I just think that something like this to happen is a good reminder for people to pay attention to their pets. And if you see something, say something. I think that's so great. And also, too, this Secretary Second is once again sponsored by CARE. You can follow them on social media at Care for Equity. And I think that's so great. Okay. That's our show for today. That's our meeting, whatever you want to call it. Once again, make sure that you hit the bell for subscriptions and you follow me on social media at Dapper Dan Midas. Don't forget to get your Secretary of Shade limited edition mug. We're starting to run out of them. Go ahead and hit the link on the channel on the front of the page, and I'll also post it up in the comments. Also, too, we're going to start a segment probably in the coming weeks where we actually take questions. I'm going to give you guys an email address, and you're going to send questions to me, and I will answer them on air in our meetings and take a look. With that being said, I hope everybody has a great week. Go Baltimore Ravens. I'm actually going to have a busy week. I'm going to the Royal Rumble in St. Petersburg this weekend. I'm flying out Friday morning, and I'll be back Sunday to attend the Ravens AFC Championship game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Taylor Swift, watch out, niece, because you're going home unhappy. But with that being said, I want everybody to have a great weekend, great week, and I will see you next week, same time, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.